A very warm welcome to the Amersham Methodist Circuit YouTube channel and to this episode of Thought for Sunday the 2nd of March. My name is Adam Wells and I am the Superintendent Minister of the Amersham Circuit of the Methodist Church. You're most welcome. As I prepare this broadcast, the sun is shining, winter is turning to spring, and it is not as cold as it has been. So what a fantastic day to be confronted with the reading we're going to have from St. Luke's Gospel, which is Luke's account of the Transfiguration. So we begin by celebrating who God is and how God is. The God who is immortal, invisible, and totally wise. In Singing the Faith, number 55.
Accessible, hid from our eyes, most blessed, most glorious, the Ancient of Days, almighty, victorious, thy great name we praise. Unresting, unhasting, and silent as light, nor wanting, nor wasting, thou rulest in might. Thy justice like mountains, high soaring above, thy clouds which are fountains of goodness and love. To all life thou givest, to both great and small. In all life thou livest, the true life of all. We blossom and flourish as leaves on the tree, then wither and perish, but no change in thee. Great Father of glory, pure Father of light, thine angels adore thee, all veiling their sight. All praise we would render, oh help us to see, 'tis only the splendor of light hideth thee. Immortal, invisible, God only wise, in light, inaccessible, hid from our eyes, most blessed, most glorious, the Ancient of Days, almighty, victorious, thy great name we praise.
The Gospel of Luke, chapter 9, beginning to read at the 28th verse. Now, about 8 days after these sayings, Jesus took with him Peter and John and James, and went up on the mountain to pray. And while he was praying, the appearance of his face changed, and his clothes became dazzling white. Suddenly they saw 2 men, Moses and Elijah, talking to him. They appeared in glory and were speaking of his departure, which he was about to accomplish at Jerusalem. Now Peter and his companions were weighed down with sleep, but since they had stayed awake, they saw his glory, and the two men who stood with him. Just as they were leaving him, Peter said to Jesus, "Master, it is good for us to be here. Let us make 3 dwellings, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah," not knowing what he said. While he was saying this, a cloud came and overshadowed them, and they were terrified as they entered the cloud. Then from the cloud came a voice that said, "This is my son, my chosen. Listen to him." When the voice had spoken, Jesus was found alone, and they kept silent, and in those days told no one any of the things that they had seen. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
What a fantastic reading from St. Luke's Gospel. Peter, James and John are taken up the mountain with Jesus, and they have an incredible experience. They see Jesus in his true context, talking to Moses and Elijah. They see Jesus changed before them, turned white. I would imagine that he'd be quite glowy white. Somehow that seems to be indicative, for my way of thinking, of his glory being shown to those 3 men. No wonder then they are bewildered, and they offer to make 3 booths or little tents for Jesus, for Moses and for Elijah. But not only do they see Jesus for who he really is, this is also, is it not, a bit of a foretaste? A bit of a foretaste of the Jesus we will encounter, maybe not in this life, but certainly in the next. This must have been such a tremendous high point for those 3 men, for Peter, James and John. And we all need our high points. For some of us, a high point might be going for a bike ride, going to a special place, going out for a meal at a particular restaurant. In our Christian journeys, we go to special events, a circuit service where we all gather together and feel the fellowship of warmth and being in a larger congregation. Even if the sermon is rubbish, the hymns can be excellent. We might also go to special Christian events. Spring harvest, or on a retreat perhaps, to a retreat house, retreat centre, of which there are many up and down our land, some catering for days, others catering for residential experiences. Many of you know that once a year I inevitably make my way to St Bino's in Wales, where I will go for 4 days of silence, because that's special. It's a high point for me. I want to encourage you during this time of Lent that will shortly be upon us to look out not just for big high points that you can plan months in advance, but for little ones. Little high points that speak to you of the God who changes the world and who has changed us. A kind word, a helping hand. Just those little things that bring us for a moment nearer to God, and in accumulation bring us always closer to God. And I'd love to hear of any high points you have in Lent, whether that be the excellent Lent groups you could choose to attend at Amersham, Chesham, or online, or at Little Chalfont or Gerrard's Cross. One of them's got to work for you, and the details are in the circuit plan, which you can download from the Amersham Methodist Circuit website. Go on. In Lent, look for those little high points. Maybe it will be a service you attend, hopefully several services that you attend, that make us and make you feel closer to God. That, if you like, is my Lenten challenge for this year. Look for high points. Have a great weekend and enjoy our closing hymn, which is Be Still for the Presence of the Lord, number 20, because sometimes we can access high points in our faith just by being still and quiet and relying on God. Take care. Best wishes and God bless.